I just snagged some beautiful Dianthus at Lowe's for 75% off, and I cannot wait to add these beautiful hardy perennials into my garden space. I'm going to underplant some tower boxwoods that are near my garage, and while we do that, we're going to talk about how best to take care of these beautiful perennials and how you can have the most success with these gorgeous, beautiful plants in your garden. Stick around, I have a lot to show you. So Dianthus, a happy perennial that really does well in the ground or in containers in any garden. And it really does bring a sense of brilliant cheer to any space. They come in a variety of colors. They come in single varieties. This one here is a little bit double in its bloom, looking more like a miniature carnation. But really, guys, they are very hardy and they're relatively easy to take care of. So the ones that I had planted earlier this season in a basket that I had thrifted from a local thrift store have been blooming non-stop since I planted them. They go through a little bit of a lull here and there, but pretty much that color has been present and they've been a welcome addition to the table over behind me. And I cannot wait to add these to our garage space because I feel like we just need that little bit of pop of color. And I was really excited to find these on clearance and also to find that brilliant red color that I think is going to be really pretty in that spot. The only thing you got to remember is keep them in a sunny spot with 6 to 8 hours plus, and you're pretty much guaranteed to have blooms all season long and beyond. All right, let's get them planted up. So I have these beautiful tower boxwoods flanking both sides of my garage, and I think these 24-inch containers are going to be absolutely perfect and a great sunny spot for my Dianthus to go. I'm going to get these in here. I'm going to plant 3 of them around the base. I'm not going to plant one on the back side of the tower boxwood because they won't be seen, and plus they won't get enough sun in that spot. So I want to give them the best success possible. Just adding a little bit of plant tone at the base of each one of these root balls is going to be just enough to sustain them. I may hit them with just a little bit of water soluble once this entire season, but these Dianthus don't require a lot of fertilizer to make it through. They're very different from our food hungry annuals. These perennials are pretty sustainable, and the soil that I have in here is a mix of really good, well draining soil in addition to some land and seed compost. And so there's plenty of nutrients here already. I'm gonna dig my first hole and you're gonna see how easy this is. One of the easiest mistakes that people make, and I've made before many times, is to forget that they don't like to be waterlogged at all. They do not like to have wet feet. And one of the first signs that you'll start to see if you have overwatered your Dianthus is those leaves towards the bottom of the plant will start to turn yellow, and you're going to start to notice that the plant is going to be stressed. These plants originally come from the Rocky Mountain areas of Asia and Europe, and they are hardy plants that are used to being able to sustain themselves through that really dry weather. That's not to say that they don't need water. We just need to let them dry out a little bit, more so than some of our other plants that are water hungry. So I'm going to add a little bit of this plant tone, just a little bit at the base. Going to mix that in here a little bit, just so it has some nutrients right there, and that's probably just enough to help them last throughout the season. So yep, Dianthus, they need well-draining soil. Don't make the same mistake I did and put them in the ground and then water them constantly. Let them dry out a little bit. I know it looks small, but in no time this is going to mound beautifully and fill in this whole area right here. Now, the other thing that we want to make sure that we do is we don't want to crowd them, because if they get really heavily crowded, then they could develop mildew, they could start to get disease if that airflow is not able to reach the base of the plant like they're used to, then you could start to have problems in that way. So we want to make sure that we don't allow them to overcrowd. And I think once these fill in this space, I think I'm going to kind of watch that and kind of trim it to where the airflow will be able to reach all areas of the plant. I don't want it to get too overcrowded. But again, we are planting in a container, so it's a little bit different than if we were to plant these in the landscape where you'd want to have them spaced further apart. We only have so much space here, but I do think 3 of these small Dianthus in this container is more than adequate and absolutely justified. So let's just say that you've planted your Dianthus and you get a gorgeous show of color for the first couple of weeks, and then you realize, wait, why am I not having that continuous bloom that I was expecting? And one of the reasons why is they are not a one and done perennial. They benefit from deadheading, which, by the way, deadheading is a fancy term for just cutting off the dead spent blooms. Because from the plant's point of view, the whole idea here is to bloom, set seeds, and then be done. And if you interrupt that process by cutting off the dead blooms before they go to seed, then the plant is going to focus its energy on creating more blooms, thus enhancing the show of color and the longevity of that bloom cycle. So just come by a little bit here and there and give them a quick trim, because it will encourage more blooms later on. Now, this is a little bit different from the annuals that I've been planting in my yard, which don't require any kind of deadheading, but this is a perennial and it does need just a little bit of attention, but that attention can be kind of relaxing to spend time in the garden and cut off the dead so you can encourage the new. That whole renewal is really exciting to see, and you're helping your plants and you're getting some plant therapy along the way. Don't forget, deadhead your blooms to encourage that beautiful color that you want to see. Now, in order to keep my camera out of the sun, I'm just going to turn this so you can see the third one that I'm going to plant in here. It's kind of equidistant from each other. And as I'm digging in this spot right here, I don't have too much. These tower boxwoods aren't terribly root bound. And I do really love these perennials. I planted them in the ground in years past, but I really do like the bluish green foliage in comparison to the really vibrant dark green and light green of the boxwoods here. It's a really nice contrast. So it's not really just about the blooms, it's about the foliage and creating a really nice visual effect for the eye. Various different types of foliage are always exciting to see, and it really does make a nice show of contrast in the same container. Really nice. All right, so that's in, looking great. And in a matter of time, this whole thing is going to be full of beautiful red Dianthus blooms. All right, let's get the other one planted up. So I'm really happy with the way this project turned out. And before long, those beautiful clearance price Dianthus are going to fill that spot with cheerful color, much like these Dianthus have done in this container beside me. And the only thing that I had to remember in order to get these kind of blooms was, number one, to put them in a sunny location with 6 to 8 hours or more of sun, because that really does encourage the plant to really go into that beautiful bloom production. And the other thing that I want to remember is not to water them too much. I might come by every once in a while and stick my finger in the soil to see if there's any moisture, and if there is, I'm going to abstain from watering them, and if there's not, then it's time to water again. I don't want to encourage root rot, which they're really prone to. So by letting them dry out a little bit, I'm really doing them a service of allowing that time to happen, which will benefit the plant in the long run. And then the next thing that I will do throughout the season is just give them a little bit of fertilizer, maybe late in the summer, but I don't want to over fertilize because it's definitely not needed, much like those annuals that we have in our yard. And then probably the most important thing that I need to remember to encourage these beautiful blooms is to come by and deadhead any spent blooms to encourage that bloom production to continue throughout the season. Now, I'd love to hear about your experience with these perennials, and have you made any of those mistakes that I've made in the past, either by overwatering them or forgetting to deadhead them? It'd be great to hear from you in the comment section below. So until next time, we hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again very soon in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.